everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today's story was a challenge from my brother. He had me randomly pick a word from the dictionary. I found the word grin. This is the story that came out of my head. I hope you like it. It's called 21. Pick a card, Isaac. Grin, the Magnificent said. Well, grinning. Let's see if I can get it right. It's my birthday, and what did my friends and family do? They threw a party and hired a magician because I love magic. A cute magician, Caucasian, gray eyes, light blonde hair, early 20s, maybe a year or two older than me. He wore a black bow tie. His tux hugged his body as if it were custom made. He made the rest of us, me specifically, feel underdressed. I picked a card and pulled it out of the spread of cards on the table. The Jack of Clubs. Should I tell you what it is? Don't say a thing. Write Isaac on it. Grin the Magnificent pulled a ballpoint pen from his pocket and handed it to me. Just my name, I said. First name is fine. Write the date numerically underneath. I could have some fun with that, Grin said. I tried writing, but the pen didn't work. I shook it, tried writing again, but no ink came out. Your pen's empty. Grin took the pen, looked at it closely. He cocked his head and gave me a mischievous glance. I gave you the right pen. It doesn't work, I said. It must be a trick pen, Dad said, though something that narrow wouldn't hide much. It's probably invisible ink. Honey, my stepmom said, don't spoil the party. You need to believe in magic. Grin took the pen, held it behind me with one hand, and made some mysterious gesture with the other. Isaac, say the magic words. Those are? I asked. How old did you turn today? Grin asked. 21, I said. How about that? I'm only a couple of centuries older than you, Grin said. He revealed the pen, except it wasn't a pen, but a rose. Not a fake rose, or a stage prop, or a silk rose, but a real white rose. My friends and family clapped. Dad scowled. He probably had it hidden up his sleeve. My stepmom punched him in the arm. Don't ruin this. Why don't you keep this, Grin said, gave a slight bow with his head, and handed me the rose. And try this pen. He gave me another pen, identical to the first. He stood up, took his jacket off, and tossed it to my dad. Nothing hidden up my sleeves. You have them. Please check, my good sir. My dad grunted, but he checked the entire jacket. If you have anything hidden in here, I can't find it. Either you didn't look hard enough, Grin said, grinning, or it wasn't in my jacket. Now you be quiet, my stepmom said to my dad. Here you go, I said. I signed the card and put today's date on it. We will need this card a little bit later. Where can we store it? I know, Grin said, and he tossed the card into the air. It vanished. A white rose fell from the sky. Everybody clapped, except my dad. He palmed it, Dad said. It's in his shirt sleeve. Then where did the rose come from? I asked. Grin threw the pen up in the air. I saw it. Some kind of misdirection, Dad said. A non-believer, Grin said, grinning. Look at my palms. Do you see any cards? He waved his hands. No, my dad said. Look at the back of my hands. Do you see any cards? He waved the back of his hands. No, my dad folded his arms. I know. Let's check on my sleeves, Grin said. I'll have to remove the tie first. Would you mind opening the door, please? One of my friends went to the door and opened it. Grin took off his bow tie, spun it around a couple of times, and cradled it in his hands. Magic words, please. 21, I said. This time I grinned. Grin opened his hands and revealed a little black bird. He gave the bird a toss, and it flew out of the house. I could never keep a good tie around. My family and friends clapped and said, "Ooh," like they were watching fireworks. "Where did he hide that?" my stepmom said, gloating to my dad. Then Grin rocked slowly back and forth as if he were dancing. One by one, he undid the tuxedo studs, pulled out the cufflinks, and removed his shirt. Right next to me. My own private strip show. Did my parents or my friends know what they were getting when they ordered this guy? I'm glad they did, though. My stepmom gave a little squeal. "I want you at my birthday party." Grin grinned. "You better schedule me quick. I fill up fast." Shirtless, tieless, jacketless, naked to the waist, Grin sat next to me. I couldn't help staring. Nicely muscled, light hair on his chest, a tattoo of an ace of spades on his arm. He smelled of Hugo Boss. Grin caught me looking, and, well, grinned and winked. What am I going to do with the cufflinks and studs? They'll just get in the way. I'll have to store them somewhere. Grin tossed them in the air, and white rose petals fluttered around. The cufflinks and studs did not clatter anywhere. Everybody clapped. "Thank you." Grin tossed the shirt to my father. "I dare you to find the card, or rose, or flower, or bird, or cufflinks, or anything." My father sifted through the shirt, feeling the fabric, holding it up to the light. Nothing. Grin grinned. My mom punched my dad in the arm. "Where were we?" "Back to the cards," Grin said. "I had you pick a card." "Jack of clubs," I said. "Didn't I tell you not to tell me?" "Well, no matter. Everybody knows what to look for now." Grin shuffled the rest of the cards, turned them over to display numbers and face cards, shuffled again, and spread them out, backs up. "Tell me a card, any card, but not the Jack of clubs, because I won't be in there." "Queen of hearts," my stepmom said. "Ace of spades," my father said. "I'm sorry, it's Isaac's birthday," Grin sang. "Any card?" I said. "Any card. Try and make this difficult," Grin said, grinning. I leaned on the table, propping my head in my hand, and stared at Grin, losing myself in his gray eyes. "Difficult? Okay. The Lovers. It's a tarot card." "That's not a playing card," my dad said. "You can't expect him to do a trick with something weird like that." "Your dad's right," Grin said, "but I did say make it difficult." He gestured to the cards on the table. "What's the magic word?" 21, I said. "I haven't touched these cards since I laid them down, correct?" He looked at my dad. "And you have my sleeves, so I can't hide anything there." "If I made you check anywhere else," my dad said, "you'd take off your pants and prove me wrong." "What a great idea," Grin stood. "Magic words, please." 21, I said, laughing. "You wouldn't," my stepmom said. "Yes, I would. 1, 2, 3. Grin stood, grabbed the sides of his pants, and off flew his pants. He wore a black sequin bikini that I couldn't take my eyes off of. He tossed his pants to my dad, who frowned. My stepmom squealed. My friends laughed, and a couple laughed so hard they had to wipe their eyes. "Why don't you check those and see if you can find anything?" Grin said. "He can only hide things in his itty-bitty shorts," my stepmom said, and squealed again. "Little things like those don't hide much. Take them off." "If it will make you feel better," Grin said. "No," Dad said. "She's fine." Grin laughed. "Isaac, state your card again so everyone can hear." "The Lovers." "Pull a card at random from the deck. Any card. Show everybody but me." I let my fingers walk along the cards. They all looked the same. Just choose one, my father said. Since I had turned 21 today, I counted 21 cards and took that one. I pulled it up, then dropped it on the table. My eyes widened, and I smiled. Everybody leaned in to look. The lovers? But how? Dad said. Magic, Grin said. You keep showing me your cards, Isaac. You shouldn't do that, but I can work with it. Those are two naked men, my stepmom squealed. It shows everything, even their little winkies. Are you sure this is legal? It is, Grin said. Now, Isaac, write a birthday wish on the top of the card. 1 or 2 words. Keep it simple, and don't show me this time. I thought for a moment. Wrote down something impossibly absurd. The pen didn't work. I shook it. I'm having great luck with pens today, Grin said. He took the pen from me and held it behind me. Notice, I don't have any sleeves, or jacket, or shirt, or pants. Magic words. Let's see you do anything now, my stepdad muttered. 21, I said. Grin held another white rose and set it in front of me. Everybody clapped, even Dad. It must be some kind of misdirection trick when he gave me the pens, but I didn't see what he did. Is somebody a little jealous? My stepmom said. For this next trick to work, we need a prop, Grin said. Isaac, toss your wallet to your dad and show us how empty it is. That got a chuckle from everybody. I took my wallet out and did as he said. My dad took it, opened it, and displayed my cards and a couple of credit card receipts. The billfold part held no cash. Wallet's very empty, Dad said smugly. Don't remind me. I don't get paid for another week. I wrote on top of the lover's card, date with Grin. Let's see what Grin can do with that. Fold the card in half, please, and don't show me this time, Grin said. Otherwise, the magic won't work. I did, and handed it to him. Magic words, Grin said. 21, I said back. Grin tossed the card straight up. A white rose fell onto the table, joining the others. Everybody clapped. I don't get how you did that one, Dad said. You threw the card up, and a rose came down. What did you do with the card? Where did you get the rose? Magic, Grin said, grinning. Honey, you've got that look, stepmom said. Do the trick again, my dad ordered. I've got to see how you did this. Grin laughed. I'll need another card. I picked one at random. Queen of Hearts. Write something on it, Grin said. Keep it simple. Your stepmom's name. I wrote it, folded it. Magic words. 21, I said. Grin tossed the card into the air. A red rose fell this time. On my stepmom. She caught it, then her eyes narrowed. How did that get in there? My stepmom turned around and fished into her blouse. She faced us. She unfolded a card, the Queen of Hearts, with her name on it. Everybody clapped or laughed, except my dad. You're working with him, my dad said. That's the only logical explanation. You planned this. Honey, we didn't, my stepmom said. Then explain how the card crossed the room, my dad said. Magic, Grin said, grinning. What kind of name is Grin? My dad asked. I'm probably the only man in the world named Greenwich Ebenezer Halifax, Grin said. The kids at school just called me Grin. The name stuck. Why would your parents name you that? My stepmom said. I was born in Greenwich Village in New York City to Mom and Dad Halifax. Ebenezer was my grandfather. I prefer Grin. The Magnificent, I said. How long have you been studying magic? All my life, Grin said. Since your dad is the skeptic, I want him to look through the cards, find anything out of the ordinary. Fine. Pass them over, Dad said. Grin gathered the cards and passed them to my dad. Dad spent minutes going through them, card By card. You're slowing down the show, my stepmom said. I want to learn how he's doing this. Tossing cards in the air and they show up in people's clothing. Tossing cards in the air and they turn into flowers or birds. Well, Dad is looking through the deck, I said. Can I ask you a question? Grin smiled and said, Does it have to do with the Jack of Clubs? What happened to it? My mom said. For that, I'll need a volunteer. My stepmom raised her hand. Me. Not your birthday, Grin said and stared at me. Anyone else? Isaac? Laughing, I raised my hand. Stand up, Grin said. Do you mind if I kiss you? It's the only way you are going to find that card. Seriously? I said. My friend started laughing, and stepmom chortled. Dad finally looked up. What are you doing this time? Nothing in my mouth, Grin said. Do you want to check? Mouth? My dad said. No. Do you have anything in your mouth? Grin asked me. No. Grin sighed and slightly shook his head. We'll have to fix that. Say the magic words and kiss me. Kiss him, my stepmom said. It should be me. Watch it, my dad said and set the cards down. Are you trying to make me jealous? You want me to kiss you, I said. If you want your card, say the magic words, then kiss me, Grin said. My friends set you up for this, didn't they? I asked. Remember, Grin said, lowering his voice to almost a whisper. Say the magic words, then kiss me. 21, I said. We kissed. A good, long kiss. A magic kiss, filled with fireworks and sparklers. My stepmom, my dad, my friends all hooted, made catcalls, whistled, cheered. You'd think it was New Year's or something. I opened my mouth a little, and Grin's tongue passed something to my tongue. We separated, and I reached up to my mouth to find a small folded rectangle, a playing card. When did you? I stammered, and unfolded the card. Jack of Clubs. At the top was my name, but below it, my phone number? But I wrote the date. Magic, Grin said, grinning. How did you do this? I asked. You did. You said the magic words, Grin said. Now we have time for one more trick. Pass me the cards. Dad did. Did you find anything odd about them? Nope. They looked ordinary, Dad said. That's because they are. The magic isn't in the cards, but the fingers, Grin said. It's your birthday, Isaac. Shuffle the cards a couple of times. I did, twice. Then I cut them and shuffled again. Done. Tell me the magic number, then cut the cards one more time. 21. I cut the cards. The hairs on my arms and the back of my neck stood up. An odd sensation, like getting a static electric shock, tingled in my fingers. Deal 10 cards. Line them up in a row, Grin said. 3 cards, then 3 cards, then 4 cards. I did, then looked at them. That's a phone number. It does look like one, doesn't it? My stepmom said. That's impossible, my dad said. Call it. See what happens, my stepmom said. What's the magic word? Grin said, grinning. 21, I said, and called the number. A second later, a phone rang from Grin's pants pocket. My dad reached into the pocket and pulled out the phone. He tossed it to Grin. Grin picked it up and said, You might need something to write that down on. Here's a pen. Say the magic words. Without stopping to think, I said, 21. Grin tapped the table and smiled. Check your wallet. Dad tossed me the wallet, and I opened it and found the folded lover's card. I opened it, and a condom fell out. Of course, everybody laughed, even Dad. Then they clapped. How did you do this? I asked, and quickly wrote his number on the card. You said the magic word. Toss the pen in the air and say the magic word again. I did. A rose fell on the table to join the others. I bet you go through a lot of pens, my dad said. You have no idea. One last trick before I go. He reached into the deck, searched a moment, then found a card. Grin folded it. Magic word, please. 21. He tossed the card into the air. A red rose fell, but not on my collection of roses. On my stepmom's head. She reached for it. What's this for? Did you miss? Nope, Grin said. He took his clothes from my dad and put them on, leaving the shirt unbuttoned. It's been fun to perform for all of you. Happy birthday, Isaac. This is Grin the Magnificent heading out. We all clapped. Grin took a bow and had just opened the front door when my dad said, Hold it. Where did the card go? Grin turned, grinning. He pointed at my dad. Check your wallet. Then he pointed at me. Read the card. Good night, everybody. Like that, Grin was gone. His little bit of magic had disappeared. The roses stayed, his card stayed, except for the jack of clubs, the one with my phone number on it. How did that get in there? Dad swore. Stepmom giggled and leaned on Dad. Dad had the ace of spades in his wallet. He unfolded it, and a condom fell to the floor. I've never heard that kind of pandemonium in my house. Laughing, screeching, chuckling, giggling, and loudest of all was my dad. The party ended about 11:30. I got into my car and left for my apartment. Would I see Grin again? I had his number. I remembered his parting words, so I pulled out the lover's card. At the top, below where I had written Date with Grin and his phone number, it had a new sentence. Say the magic word. It expires at midnight. I stared at the roses he had given me, at the lover's card with 2 men, at the condom. I reached my apartment and climbed out of the car. Tonight, I believed in magic. Anything could happen today, so why not this? Why not a date with a man who made the impossible happen? I said, 21. My phone rang. I answered, daring, for the moment, to believe in the impossible. I'm in the mood for French fries, Grin said. His voice didn't come from my phone, but behind me, from a man wearing a shirt that he never buttoned. He had his tuxedo jacket slung over his shoulder. He spun a pen around his fingers. He tossed it at me, but I didn't catch a pen. I caught a white rose. Grin had given me a dozen white roses tonight. Grin held out his hand to take mine, and grinned. Do you want to join me? Say the magic words if you do. I grinned and said, 21.